$5 each. We have a bunch of...
That was fun, being a real city for a little while.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is James Jett, and I'm the principal here at Milton High School. I'd like to welcome you. We have the distinct honor of having 7 members of our high school chorus group sing the Star Spangled Banner for you a cappella. But before we get started, if you don't mind, I'm going to introduce them, and then I'm going to ask if you just please remove your hats for the Star Spangled Banner. First, we have Catherine Steele, Colette Maury, Grace Morella, Julia Butler, Harry Cohn, Dominic Hippolyte, and Patrick McDonald. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for this wonderful group.
One, two, 4.
the town of Milton, we'd like to welcome you. Let's put your hands together for Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is the clear choice to be the next president. Bernie Sanders!
Who is the co-president of the National Nurses Union. I want to say something about the National Nurses Union. These guys do a fantastic job. Everybody knows that nurses are the backbone of our healthcare system. But what the Nurses Union has said is, look, our job is to treat people who are sick. Our job is to prevent illness. Under this healthcare system, we can't do our job. We need a Medicare for all healthcare system. So I leadership. Paul Tribbiano, thank you very much for that introduction. I am delighted to be here in our neighboring state, Massachusetts. I was just thinking, not an original thought, but your state led the American Revolution. Now it is time for Massachusetts to lead the political. Here in Massachusetts, you began the fight against the King of England and those tyrants who were oppressing America. Now we have a new fight, taking on the oligarchs in this country. With your help and the help of millions of Americans, our campaign has come a very, very long way in the last 10 months. When we began, we had no money, we had no political organization, and people outside of New England really didn't know who Bernie Sanders was. And we were taking on perhaps one of the best known people in this country, somebody who had been anointed by the establishment as the Democratic nominee. Well, a lot has changed in the last 10 months. Tomorrow, in 11 states, including Massachusetts, over 800 delegates are going to be elected to the Democratic Convention, and we anticipate winning many of them and a majority of them right here in Massachusetts. Now, the reason why this campaign, which started way, way behind, has so much momentum is we are doing something very radical. We are telling the American people the truth. And in politics, that is a pretty radical idea. Now, sometimes the truth is not pleasant, but you can't go forward. You can't make progress unless you understand where you are today. You can't sugarcoat it. You can't sweep it under the carpet. And here's where we are today. Today we have a corrupt campaign finance system which is undermining American democracy. We in New England have hundreds of years of history in Vermont, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, elsewhere, where we have town meetings. It's called grassroots democracy. It is called one person, one vote, and we do not look kindly on billionaires buying elections. And we also understand that today in America, we have a rigged economy. And what that means, simply stated, is that you and millions of other Americans are working longer hours for lower wages. That everything being equal, if we do not turn it around, The younger generation today, for the first time in the modern history of America, will have a lower standard of living than your parents. Meanwhile, while mom is working and dad is working and the kids are working and we work in incredibly long hours, 58% of all new income is going to the top 1%. You ready for a radical idea? Here it is. We're going to create an economy that works for working families, not just the 1%. Talking about. It's not a pleasant issue. It's not one that anybody in this room is proud of, but we have a broken criminal justice system. There is no rational reason why in America today we have more people in jail than any other country on earth. There is no rational reason why a black male baby born today has a 1 in 4 chance of ending up in jail. That's a disgrace. And together, we are going to bring justice to a broken criminal justice system. Just the billionaire campaign contributors. And this is what the American people are telling us as we go around the country. Workers are telling me they cannot make it on $9 or $10 an hour. They are telling me we've got to raise the minimum wage to a living wage, $15 an hour. Massachusetts and Vermont senior citizens are telling me they cannot make it on $12,000 a year Social Security. And I want everybody here to put your mind into an elderly person a few blocks away from here, 80, 85 years of age, needs health care, needs prescription drugs, has to keep warm in the winter. How do you do that if you're an elderly person or a disabled veteran on $12,000 a year? The answer is you don't. You know, a great country is measured not by the number of millionaires and billionaires it has. It is measured on how we treat the weakest and most vulnerable among us. It is hard for me to imagine what kind of conscience, how they go to sleep at night. They think we should cut Social Security. Well, I've got very bad news for them. We're not going to cut Social Security. We're going to expand Social Security. This campaign is looking to our veterans, men and women who put their lives on the line to defend us. And they are saying we need good quality health care and we need the benefits we were promised. We are going to deliver on that promise. listening to young people all across this country. And young people are telling me, how does it happen that I have to be $50,000, $100,000 in debt because I went to college or graduate school? Now, what this campaign is about is thinking outside of the box, outside of the status quo. I want you just to think about this for a moment. What sense is it that we are punishing people, forcing them to pay off student debt for decades? For what? What crime did they commit? They wanted to get the best education that they could. That is not a crime. They should not be punished. And this campaign is listening to women. That I am working in an office, and the guy next to me doing the same work I'm doing, I'm getting paid 79 cents on the dollar to pay per hour. And I know that every man in this room tonight will stand with the women in the fight for pay equity. And what every psychologist who has studied this issue knows, the most important years of our lives as human beings is 0 through 4. That's when we develop intellectually and emotionally. And yet, young couples all over Massachusetts, Vermont, and America having a very difficult time to find quality, affordable child care. And our job is to make sure that the littlest people in America, the youngest people, have the quality child care and pre-K education that they need. And our campaign is talking to the African American community. How could it possibly be that in the year 2016, a black male baby born today stands a 1 in 4 chance of ending up in jail if we do not end this broken criminal justice system? And we are talking in this campaign to our Latino brothers and sisters. Tired of living in fear, tired that somebody in their family may get deported. They want to see, and I want to see, comprehensive immigration reform. Now, what makes this campaign different than any other campaign is that I will tell you that this campaign is more than just electing a president. That no president, not Bernie Sanders or anybody else, can do what has to be done in this country alone. What this campaign is about is creating a political revolution. Is millions of people, many of whom have given up on the political process. They look at Washington in disgust. They don't want to participate. young people who have never participated in their lives, low-income people. What this campaign is about is having millions of people stand together and say loudly and clearly, enough is enough. That represents all of us, not just the 1%. You know, yesterday, I don't know if any of you watched the Oscars. I did. But Adam McKay, who helped write that brilliant movie, see The Big Short? McKay said, this is what he said in his accepting his Oscar. He said, most of all, if you don't want big money to control government, don't vote for candidates that take money from big banks, oil, or weirdo billionaires. Which takes me to one of the differences between Secretary Clinton and myself. Now, I am not quite sure how you bring about real change in America if your super PAC collects millions and millions of dollars from Wall Street and from drug companies and from the fossil fuel industry. Change in America if you give a speech to Goldman Sachs for $225,000 and you don't release the transcript. My own view is, if you're going to give a speech for $225,000, must be a hell of a good speech. And you're going to want to share it with the American people. So sure why Secretary Clinton doesn't want to share that wonderful speech. But let me tell you something. See, one of the differences in our campaigns is I don't have a super PAC, I don't want a super PAC, I don't want a super Our campaign has received over 4 million individual contributions. More than any candidate in the history of America at this point. And you know what our average contribution is? You got it, $27. I love this audience. You guys are so smart. To paraphrase Abraham Lincoln at Gettysburg, this is a campaign of the people, by the people, and for the people. Our campaign does not need a super PAC when we have millions of people prepared to stand up and fight back. They can keep their super PACs. All of you know that foreign policy is one of the very important things that a president does. And one of the big differences between Hillary Clinton and myself is I listened to what Bush had to say and Cheney had to say about Iraq. I voted against the war. The war in Iraq. Back in 1996, there was a very important bill that came to the floor. It was called the so-called Defense of Marriage Act. What this legislation did is say that if a gay couple were married in Vermont or someplace else, that marriage could not be transferred and be held legal in another state, and that gay married people could not get federal benefits like straight couples. At that point, there were not a whole lot of members of Congress prepared to vote against that homophobic legislation. I did. That bad piece of legislation. Now, the reason that this campaign is doing well is the American people today are feeling enormous angst. They're worried about their kids, they're worried about the future. They believe, as I do, that there is something fundamentally wrong in America where the top 1/10% today now owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. That there's something wrong when the 20 wealthiest people own more wealth than the bottom 150 million Americans. They believe there is something wrong when we see a proliferation of millionaires and billionaires, and yet we have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth. Now, when we talk about the economy, once a month, you see on the front pages, unemployment nationally, 5%. Anyone believe that? You're right. There's another statistic that the government produces that asks if you are giving up looking for work or you're working part-time. Real unemployment close to 10%, youth unemployment off the charts. For white kids 17 to 20, graduated high school, real unemployment 33%. Latino kids 36%, African American kids 51%. Now, if anyone in this room thinks that that high level of youth unemployment is not related to another tragedy in America, and that is we have more people in jail than any other country, 2.2 million people. We're spending $80 billion a year locking up Americans. That's wrong. So here's what we are going to do. You ready for another radical idea? For our young people, the kids on street corners today, the kids who have nowhere to go, we are going to invest in jobs and education, not jails and incarceration. I was in Flint, Michigan, and I will not even tell you what I heard because it is so horrific, so depressing. I don't want to even, honest to God, it was just so painful. I don't even want to talk about what is happening to the children in Flint, Michigan today. But what I want to say is that when we talk about a crumbling infrastructure, crumbling water systems, Flint, Michigan is not the only city in America where that's going on. We have an infrastructure, water systems, wastewater plants, roads, bridges, rail system, levees, dams, airports, many parts of this country, our infrastructure is crumbling. we can rebuild that crumbling infrastructure and create 13 million decent jobs. We in America today should be hiring teachers, not firing teachers. I want to tell you a little bit about Republican family values. When Republicans talk about family values, it's important that we know what they're talking about and what they are saying. When they talk about family values, is that no woman in this room, in this state, in this country, should have the right to control her own body. I disagree. Is that our gay brothers and sisters should not have the right to be married? I disagree. Shane and I have been married 27 years. We have 4 great kids. You just met Levy as one of them. We have 7 beautiful grandchildren.
Relationship goals!
Talk about family values, we are talking about ending the international embarrassment of the United States being the only major country on earth that does not guarantee paid family and medical leave. No woman in America who gives birth to a baby should be forced to go back to work in a week or 2. Because that's why together we are going to pass 3 months of paid, guaranteed family leave. So when I talk about a corrupt campaign finance system, a rigged economy, and a broken criminal justice system, it all comes together in one brief story I'd like to tell you. Last month, Goldman Sachs, one of the financial institutions on Wall Street that helped destroy our economy and resulted in millions of people losing their jobs, their homes, and their life savings, they reached an agreement with the federal government for $5 billion. $5 billion. Why did they reach that agreement? They reached the agreement because they were selling worthless packages of subprime mortgages, subprime home mortgages. And they paid a $5 billion fine for doing that. That's point number 1. That on Wall Street you have financial institutions whose operations are based on fraud. Some of the most powerful companies in America based on fraud and illegal behavior. Point number 2, you want to talk about political power. What goes on at Goldman Sachs and other Wall Street firms, they make huge contributions. Huge contributions. I can't use that word anymore. Giant campaign contributions. And that's what political power is about, is having the ability to influence government by providing these huge contributions. Third point is called the revolving door. You all know what the revolving door means? What happens is people go from Wall Street to government, back to Wall Street. They do Wall Street's bidding when they're in the government. Goldman Sachs alone, in the last 25 years, has had 2 secretaries of the Treasury, one on the Democrats, one on the Republicans. That's political power. Fourth point, and maybe the point that upsets the American people the most. Today in Massachusetts or Vermont, And that kid will have a police record for the rest of his or her life. But if you are an executive on Wall Street and your illegal behavior and actions cause the destruction of the American economy and suffering to millions of people, you know what happens to you? No, wrong. You get a compensation increase. That is what a broken criminal justice system is. We all grew up believing that in America we have equal justice under the law. You're poor, you break the law. You're rich, you break the law. In every case, you pay the price. That doesn't go on in America today, and together we are going to bring back justice to the criminal justice. Now, I am criticized every day for thinking too big, for coming up with ideas that are just too big. Well, I'll tell you what. If you start off asking for half a loaf, you're going to end up with crumbs. If you start off asking for a full damn loaf, you may actually get something. Of thousands of bright, qualified young people who have the ability, the desire, and the qualifications to go to college. They can't because their families lack the money. Now, 50 or 60 years ago, a high school degree was enough to go out and get you a job. World has changed. Today, in many ways, a college degree is the equivalent of a high school degree of 50 years ago. In my view, today, when we talk about public education, it's not just first grade through 12th grade. We've got to make public colleges and universities tuition free. And we also have to deal with the crisis of student debt. How many people here with student debt? We got legislation that will substantially lower that student debt. And then I'm asked, well, Bernie, that's a great idea, you're a nice guy, how are you going to pay for this? I will tell you how we're going to pay for it. We're going to impose a tax on Wall Street speculation. When Wall Street's illegal behavior helped destroy this economy, they got bailed out by Congress. Now it is Wall Street's time to help the middle class. And when we talk about some of the major issues facing our country and the world, I am a member of the Senate Committee on the Environment and the Committee on Energy. And here is the truth. Here is the simple truth. The debate is over. Climate change is real. And it is caused by human activity. And we have a moral responsibility to transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy. Scientists are telling us is that by the end of this century, this planet will be 5 to 10 degrees Fahrenheit warmer, more drought, more floods, more extreme weather disturbances, more acidification of the ocean. We cannot allow that to happen. Now, when you think big, I want you to think about this. Every major country on earth United Kingdom, France, Germany, Italy, Holland, Scandinavia, our neighbors to the north, Canada. All of them guarantee health care to all of their people. I'm a member of the committee that helped write the Affordable Care Act. Your former senator, late Ted Kennedy, helped lead and chair that committee. And the Affordable Care Act has done a lot of good. But we still have a long way to go. 29 million people today, zero health insurance. Many of you are underinsured. Large co-payments, large deductibles. And we pay by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. Pharmaceutical industry is ripping off the American people. 1 in 5 people can't even afford the prescriptions their doctors are writing. And yet the 3 major drug companies earned $45 billion in profit last year. On top of that, we spend much more per capita on healthcare than do the people of any other country. The time is now for us to move toward a Medicare for all healthcare system. Able to become elected the President of the United States, that I'm not elected. That I cannot beat, or we cannot together beat Donald Trump. Not a chance. Not only will we beat him, we will beat him badly. Sanders versus Trump, Clinton versus Trump, we do much better against them. The polls go up and down, but I will tell you why we will defeat Donald Trump. We will defeat him because the American people do not believe we should be giving hundreds of billions of dollars in tax breaks to the top 0.2%. Because unlike his view, most Americans think we should raise the starvation minimum wage of $7.25 an hour. Unlike Trump, who in a Republican debate said that he thought wages in America are too high. Well, when you're a billionaire, you may not know what goes on in the real world. Wages in America are not too high, they're too low. And you don't know that Donald Trump is, according to himself, the greatest of everything. You name it, he is the greatest. Among other things, among his many other attributes, he is the greatest scientist in the history of the world. And he has concluded, after years of intensive study, that climate change is a hoax. Now, coming from a Republican, I'm not shocked by that, but what I am shocked by is that Trump believes that climate change was originated, the hoax was originated in China. Now that did shock me because I would have thought that Trump would have believed that it was originated in Mexico or among the Muslims. We are going to defeat Donald Trump because the American people do not want a president who insults Mexicans. American people do not want a make President Obama look like an illegitimate president. Who insults veterans like John McCain. And who basically insults anyone who isn't just like him. And thank God most Americans are not just like him. And we are going to beat Donald Trump because we know that bringing people together trumps divisiveness. That community, working with each other, helping each other, trumps selfishness. And most of all, we will defeat Donald Trump because we know that love trumps hatred. Throughout our country's existence. Tomorrow you can do it again. Please come out to vote. Please bring your friends, your family, your neighbors. If we have a large voter turnout tomorrow, if the people of Massachusetts speak loudly, we are going to win, and Massachusetts will help us. And Massachusetts will help lead this country into the political revolution.